So you mentioned you were doing 1,000+ surveys on WhatsApp.
Mhm.
Can you share a little bit how the data was then? Did you use an AI or kind of a speech to text software to transcribe it, or how was that done?
No, it was all done manually, which is quite a lot of work. We were thinking about sort of doing other forms of sort of machine learning and analysis on the data, but our feedback back then was that they are not very developed when it comes to Arabic, so we didn't use them. We basically had an actual person who transcribed and then also translated the messages, so that we have a big data set of different messages, which took time. I mean, obviously you have some people who send very quick voice messages, others who talk for 5 or 6 minutes, so it depends a bit. And I think we also tried to for example, the person who transcribed the data, she also had a separate column where she was doing a bit of sentiment analysis herself in terms of, describing whether, for example, often you would hear a baby screaming in the background, or you would hear noise from the family or from the street. And she was describing a bit what she heard, whether people sound anxious or whether they are upset. Or so we did a bit of that sort of, this kind of looking sort of, we did a bit of that analysis, but in a sort of more qualitative fashion.
Very smart. So an additional layer of sentiment analysis in a sense.
Exactly, yeah.
Wonderful. There was a question very closely related to that. So you already said you worked with colleagues to actually do the transcribing. Can you say how many people were part of the team during the collecting and the analyzing of the responses?
Yeah, so we had our data manager who essentially administered the survey. So sent out the questions, collected the answers, transported them into Excel tables. He also had support from a data clerk who helped him. Then we had one person who transcribed and translated all the data. She did that all. I mean, she's fantastic, obviously. She did that all by herself. And then we had myself and a local researcher, because I didn't mention that, but we also did, because this was a pilot and we weren't exactly sure how the WhatsApp survey would be received. So we actually did, in addition to the workshop, we also did focus group discussions and key informant interviews before the survey to be able to better to triangulate the data, so that we can compare, okay, what do we get through WhatsApp? What do we get through more conventional qualitative methods, but also to make sure we are really conflict sensitive, we're not missing things. So yeah, the two of us were also part of the team. And then of course we were getting a lot of support from the coordination unit at UNDP. I was part of it back then, based in Lebanon. And I mean, so we got a lot of fantastic support by colleagues there who really supported the project.